Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutal. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay. But you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
Welcome to Hour 2 of the Midwest #1 weekly motorsports show, Track Talk, on the RacinBoys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Once again, here's Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, race fans. Welcome to Track Talk here on RacinBoys Radio on RacinBoys.com. It's a three-man show now. Kirk Elliott, Todd Surprise, and myself. We'll be talking a little bit about what's going on the grassroots level. Plus, we got a little treat for everybody. So you might want to tell your friends, the ones that are getting online right now. Ford Man, I see he's on there. Old 39, Clint Brown, Racetrack Ronnie. Thanks, guys, for coming over here. Hour number 2. We've got a little teaser. You know, we've been talking about this video that we have produced. It was submitted to us by Larry Myrtle and Jeff Eller and myself. I've shot a little video, but I'm not sure how much of that's going to be in there. But the bulk of this video has been shot by Jeff Eller and Larry Myrtle. And it's years and years of crashes out at I-70 Speedway. And you know we've been talking about it quite a bit on the show. And we're going to show you a little piece of that here in just a little bit. So we'll give you a little teaser, a little music video, kind of like what we used to do. Todd has been working his little fingers to the bone trying to put this thing together because, to be honest with you, the quantity of wrecks is off the chart. The full length of this video when it's done, which, Todd, next week you think be done?
Yeah, I think we could guarantee it'll probably be done next week.
Be careful with that guarantee.
Okay.
Two words that you never want to use.
Well, we could go with what
never and guarantee, right?
We'll have it up when it's done. How's that?
Kirk, we need to try to draw a deadline because, Todd, we're getting a lot of people that are asking about it when you're out and about, and I'm getting a lot of people asking about it when I'm out and about, so we need to get it done, right?
Yeah, I've had quite a few people talk about that.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to give you a little teaser of that today. Something to watch, and then we'll put up the full link sometime next week. The reason I know that because I know where Todd's at on the project. He's really close to having it done. So, but just because of the quantity of wrecks and trying to lay the music in it, make kind of have a nice flow. It's taking a little time. It's just not like we're going to take the video and just lay some music over it. There's a little more effort than that put into it. So we're going to show that here in just a little bit. We'll take your phone calls as well. Give us a call here in the RacinBoys studio. That number is 816-833-8553. Again, 816-833-8553. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Good morning to you as well. Thanks for joining us here on the show. Where do we start off, Kirk? I think I want to kind of finish up where we were talking about here just a moment ago before we went off of Sports Radio 810 WHB. So you don't think Bannister Mall area would be conducive for a racetrack?
Well, I just even if you wanted that to happen, and I'm not.
Let me ask you this, Kurt.
I'm not sure that is the ideal location to put anything at this point. You're never going to get that approved by the city.
I think
that's
you would.
Inside the city of Kansas City, Missouri.
I disagree with you.
It's never going to happen.
No, I disagree with you. I think because that area needs to be developed, and it is getting so run down, and everything is dying on the vine out there that. To bring in something, if you painted it to the Kansas City, because listen, Kansas City missed the boat when NASCAR wanted to move up by the airport, didn't they? Right? So why couldn't you convey to the city of Kansas City, if you wanted to build a racetrack out there where Bannister Mall is, say this is going to be the Kansas City side of a miniature Village West. It already kind of has that structure around it. There's a bunch of empty buildings right around that area. You could make it kind of automotive area, kind of like a gasoline alley area with those buildings. You could build a racetrack up there where they tore down the mall. You could utilize the parking lot as paved parking for the pits and the fans, so you wouldn't have muddy pits or fan or any of that. And if they're worried about EPA, make it a pavement track. if you had to. But there's enough property there that a person could make it a motorsports complex. You could have a little go-kart track there. You could have a lot of different things. You could have an 8th Mile drag strip there. There's so much property there that is being unused that nobody wants to purchase. To be honest with you, they don't want to purchase that property because it's in a non-desirable area. You know, crime is a little greater. I grew up a little bit in that area. I lived with Vernon Pittman up off of Grandview Road and Bannister Road for several years when I was young, when I was moving furniture, living over there at one period in my life. And that area used to thrive. Bennigan's was up there. They built Bannister Mall. It was a really thriving area of our city. People would drive for miles and miles and miles to go to Bannister Mall because it was the big mall. It's no longer there, but the lay of the land and the pavement is still there. You put mufflers on it. You tell the city of Kansas City that you're going to create all these tax dollars by opening up other businesses that are automotive related. You call the racetrack the new Olympic Stadium because it's off of 435, and the old Olympic was off of 435. I'm telling you, it could work.
All right, let's look at the politics of this whole situation. This is the same Kansas City, Missouri that turned Kansas City International Raceway into a city park.
Right.
You got to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the
hold
same
on. First
city.
of all, hold on. We're going to take this at one thing at a time. So you bring that up, right? You're not going to have one of the Kemper family members living over there in that neighborhood.
Doesn't matter. You still got the same
hold on.
political structure in place.
Kurt, you and I know the reason that the downfall of KCI started was because of that family member, the Kemper family, living up on top of that hill and complaining about the noise. She was the ramrod behind all of that. We know that. She was doing it for her own personal gain, and she was doing it because of devaluing. She quoted, "This devalues our property around here." That's why she did it. It was all money driven by the Kemper family.
Plus, the noise ordinances will, make that a moot project right out of the gate. You still have residences in that area that would put up a fuss about that and nix that idea from before it even got out of the gate. It's just never going to happen.
When was the last time you drove around those neighborhoods in that area?
Well, it doesn't matter.
No, it does matter because you have to know.
You still have residences in that neighborhood that would pitch a fit about that.
Kurt,
it wouldn't take long for it to.
When was the last time you drove around that neighborhood?
I go by there all the time on 435.
Kirk, that is not driving in the neighborhood. That's like saying I'm driving.
It doesn't matter what the neighborhood's like. You still have residences in that neighborhood. You still have people that live there.
Well, let me tell you something. If they were to do that, it would drive the property value back up around that area. See, there's certain areas of this city. I'll tell you, Independence is one of them. You buy a house, you better damn good sure that you buy it at a very cheap rate because property value is not going up in a lot of parts of this city. That area where Bannister Mall is, property value is not going up. It's going down. So what you're going to do is you're going to create property value. That's how you sell it to the people in the surrounding area, around that area.
It's still never going to happen because you're never going to get the people who already live there to agree to that happening.
I'm going to start investigating.
The hearings that take place right out of the gate and something like that would be so overwhelming against a project of that nature, it would just never get off the ground.
I want to put an ownership. Be careful with that. I screwed up last week on that broadcast. I'd like to put a group of people together and see if we can make that happen.
Go for it. I'll be an interested observer to see how far you get with it.
Racetrack Ronnie, how about you, buddy? You want to spend some money? Open up a new racetrack. How Hollywood Bob, you in? Clint Brown, we'll have you run it. We'll make you the general manager. Ford man, well, we'll have you as I don't know what we do with
a more
Ford
likely location would be in the River Bend area where it's already zoned for that purpose from the municipality of River Bend.
All right.
There you could probably make something like that happen.
Phone lines are open.
You could get the land purchased.
No. River Bend's not where it's going to work. 816-833, and I'll tell you why. 816-833-8553. It's because they've been burned on it too many times. People saying they were going to put a racetrack in there. They've spent a lot of their own city revenue doing the research that it takes to let somebody bring in a racetrack, and they've been burned on those lawyer fees. The next person that goes down there and tries to open a racetrack in River Bend, they're going to have their ducks in a row. It's not going to be as easy as it once could have been.
Well, far more easy than it would be to try to get something to happen at the old Bannister Mall site.
No. Much better place, Old Bannister Mall, right off the highway where you can see it, close to Grandview. I mean, it's just close to everything. All right, you got him potted up. Let's go to Glenn. Glenn's calling in on the show. How you doing, Glenn?
Doing fine, thank you.
What do you think?
Well, what I wanted to say was, number one, I totally agree with Scott about another racetrack here in town. I like his idea about putting it up there. I don't think it would happen, but I do like the idea of having another track and was wondering your thoughts, number one, about maybe something down there off of, by 210 and 291 down by the river.
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, I know it's kind of undesirable because of probably the floodplain, but look at Lakeside, which is a segue to what I want to say about the new Lakeside.
Yeah, go ahead.
After coming back to Kansas City, I lived in Dallas for a few years, and I actually went down to the Devil's Bowl quite a bit. When I came back and it was pavement, I was pretty disappointed. This was about '89.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been going to it ever since, seen it transition back to dirt. And I will say, after this year, I was thoroughly convinced after seeing ASCS run there the weekend where it rained on the Saturday night.
Right.
The show was phenomenal. And after going out to Knoxville for 20 years and having, season tickets to the Nationals and experiencing what happened down at Sedalia this last summer on that half mile, I was pretty convinced that I think Lakeside is the perfect track, even for the sprint cars. Those guys don't obviously have the money, the equipment to compete on those big half miles like Knoxville, in my opinion, which takes a lot of toll on the cars, albeit Knoxville is a great show. I just wanted to express how wonderful I thought that Lakeside was this year. The special shows that I went to see, and I'll get off and let you guys comment. And thank you for the show.
Hey, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Well, Lakeside's a big track as well. It's not quite a
lot of
half
people
mile,
say
but
it's
I don't think it's the perfect track for
it's
sprint cars.
4/10 of a mile is what it is. It's a short half mile.
Wide and fast. I think the perfect track is like what you got up here to Osborne or Eagle or tracks like that.
Anything
wing sprint car races.
3/8 a mile or shorter is best wing sprint car
I
racing.
agree.
But I will tell you that Lakeside has a reputation of being an expensive track to run at on the weekly. You talk to the modified drivers or anybody that races out there weekly, we get the same thing.
I consider it a half mile. Even though it's 4/10, I mean, it's a half-mile racetrack.
It feels fast, like a half mile, but it's not near as fast as Knoxville.
No, it's not as big as Knoxville.
No track is as big as Knoxville. As far as flat speeds,
right.
You talk to the drivers. I travel with a lot of sprint car drivers, and they all talk about, man, when you go from where we race, all these little places like Placerville and, all over the country, Cottage Groves of the world, these little bitty tracks, other than tracks, with the exception of maybe a Devil's Bowl.
Devil's Bowl is fast.
It's really fast, but it's not as fast as Knoxville.
No, it's not as big. I would compare Devil's Bowl more to like Lakeside in the sense that it's not as big as Knoxville, but it's still
I would
every
say
bit as
that
fast.
Devil's Bowl is faster than Lakeside.
Yeah, I would say that.
I would, because it's bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the technique to drive at Devil's Bowl is different because they've got some elevation on the back straightaway, getting up, the back straightaway kind of sits up about 8 foot higher than the front straightaway. So there's an elevation change coming off the turn 2 and going into turn 4. There's some up and down right
but
there.
I think Lynn brings up a good point, and this affects all of racing, not just sprint car racing, that the days of the half-mile racetrack are over for a number of different reasons. And I came from, my hometown track was a big half-mile racetrack, Adams County Speedway in Corning, big, long straightaways, corners. Back in the day, 25, 30 years ago, half-mile racetracks were the bomb. Nowadays, not so much. And I think the racing is so much better on the shorter 3/8 mile tracks than they are in the big half miles. We've seen it. And the trend is
It's just
going
like
away from the half miles and more to the 3/8.
It's kind of like big time stock car racing in NASCAR. You get spread out. You have long green flag runs. Doesn't make for great racing.
Yeah, and it's hard on equipment. It's
you need lap
expensive.
cars. You need to have lap cars. You need to be working those lap cars, and it just, as you said, it costs too much money to run on a big track.
You've been a racer. It is extremely expensive, much more to race regularly on big half miles than it is on the shorter racetrack.
All right, and what was his name? Was that Glenn? Glenn, another question that you had there. You asked about 291 and 210, and Kirk and I were just talking about that right before you came on.
It's already zoned for racing. It's ready to go.
No, it's not zoned for racing.
The municipality of River Bend has it zoned for racing.
No, they don't, Kirk. No, don't misspeak, because don't do that.
Didn't they approve it for that purpose?
No, they didn't get to that far. They were going through the process. The only way it gets zoned for racing is if somebody comes in with a proposal. Nobody has a proposal in front of anybody right now, so it can't. That's no. Would River Bend allow a racetrack to come down there to their area? Yes, but it's going to, like I say, going to be more difficult, because remember when Tim Grunhard and his group put a deal together? They spent a lot of money. The village, because it's a village. It's the only property that is incorporated into Jackson County. That's called Jackass Bend over there, just across the river. It's the only Jackson County property that is north of the river. And it was incorporated, I think, in 93, maybe, something like that, into Jackson County. So it's a village of River Bend. A population of about 30 people live down there. And remember when Grunhard and I think Pennington and those guys, they all said they were going to build a big track down there, and they were going to do it across the street from Ron Wheeler, which would have been the northwest corner. They were going to buy 100 acres there. A lot of money was spent by the village with lawyers doing the due diligence to make sure that everything was being done right and all that. Thousands of dollars. Only for them at the last second to drop out, right? And then another person came in, wanted to build a racetrack. Well, I'll say it. Mike Johnson looked into buying Ron Wheeler's property, the owner of I-35 Speedway. I don't know if that's ever been said out publicly or not, but so that could be a first on the radio. But Mike Johnson looked into buying that 24 acres that Ron Wheeler owns on the southwest corner of 291 and 210. And that process started only after a period of time. Mike Johnson and his partners thought that the dust from the rock breaking company over there was blowing too much dust over onto the property, and they thought if that happened on a race night, it'd be devastating. So they decided to pull out. My point is that, and there's been other people that have showed interest in that property down there. But I think River Bend feels like they've been jerked a couple times. And so the next person that comes in there, they're going to have to come in there with some money in their pocket.
Guarantees.
Mm-hmm. Some money in their pocket that says, all right, if your lawyers spend this amount of money, and when I say your lawyers, the village of River Bend, the attorneys that represent that village, if they're gonna have to guarantee that they're not going to take any money out of pocket to do this.
And if you back out, this is what you owe the village of River Bend. Those kinds of agreements would have to be set in motion before they would proceed forward.
Here's the thing, Bob. Hollywood Bob says, I'm sorry, Scott, but in this economy, nobody is going to spend a dime on a racetrack. The tracks that are open now are struggling. Tell that to Adams County Raceway. Tell that to, he's saying that nobody's going to build a track. Tell that to Adams County Raceway.
What about Adams County? Speedway.
Not Adams County, but Atchison County.
Oh, Atchison County.
I'm sorry, I said Adams County.
I was going,
sorry.
What?
Sorry. Atchison County Raceway. They built a racetrack, didn't they, during these tough times?
Well,
don't say that people are not interested.
As we sit here today, Bob is right. People are kind of holding on to what they got.
But I'm just saying that guy spent his money on it.
See what happens after Tuesday.
Atchison County spent their money on building a racetrack during these tough times. So don't tell me that nobody's interested in it and that nobody's going to spend a dime, because it's not true.
Well, times will get better at some point. But as we sit today, people are not going to want to do that.
Do you think if you built it in the right place and you had the right ownership group and it was built in the city of Kansas City city limits, would it be successful?
Yeah, but it's just never going to happen. It's a pipe dream. It's a never going to happen proposition. Not even worth contemplating.
Wow.
Because it's just not realistic. The politics of that proposal would nix it before it even got out of the gate.
All right. I'm going to have to start the wheels a spinning then, because I don't believe that.
I've
been looking around.
Kansas City, Missouri, we're talking about here.
Right. I've been looking around for a place to open up the new Olympic Stadium. I'm going to tell you.
Good luck.
You open up the new Olympic Stadium, people will come by the masses. I guarantee you.
The Riverbend area is where it needs to be.
Little bitty bull ring right up here off 435. There's a little bit of property down there where the old, what was the steel plant right here off 435 when you're headed towards Front Street?
Front Street? I can't remember. I know what you're talking about, but I can't
over there
remember
on the west side of the highway.
Right.
Right as you're going down the hill.
Smells bad in that area, though. The odors you drive through there is horrible.
You might have to wear a nose thing to cover up the smell, the
Not
stench.
a desirable location.
Greg Weld wanted to build a racetrack down there called the new Olympic Stadium. I don't think it's a bad idea down there. Not all the way down towards Front Street where it starts stinking. Before, when you come down past 24 Highway to Winter Road, past Winter Road, that's 24 Highway and Winter Road are the same thing. Right after you pass that, you're going down a hill on a curve on that little bridge, and you look to the left, and there's the railroad yard down there where the steel plant was. That would be a good place to do it. I saw a place over here off of 23rd Street in 435. They're tearing down that building down there where the auction was, right in there. But I'm afraid that you might not have enough property to do it down there. It'd have to be more like if you were to do it down there, you'd have to park on the streets, kind of like the days back at Riverside Stadium.
Anything that has to do with making something happen inside the city of Kansas City, Missouri, I think it's a waste of time. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Risk taker is what it's going to take. Somebody that is willing to step up, spend the money to try to get it approved. Because, see, that's where the money starts.
Dealing with the Kansas City City Council and the political structure in Kansas City, Missouri would be nearly impossible
Kirk,
to make
if you had a big enough voice and a way to get that voice out to the public, like this radio show, Kevin Kiesman, 810, the Sport Authority people. The people in the sporting industry that manage the sporting industry of what is it? What's that sporting? KC Sporting. What is that called, Kurt?
Sporting Kansas
Sporting
City.
KC.
Sporting KC.
Happened in Wyandotte County, Unified Government, Wyandotte County, and Kansas City, Kansas, where things do happen.
Kirk, do you live in Missouri?
I live in Missouri, too.
Wouldn't you like to see some nice things happen in Missouri?
Sure I would, but I also know the history that goes on with these kinds of projects and how they never happen.
This is typical Kirk Elliott, the pessimist.
Why
Debbie Downer, Kirk Elliott.
No, it's why waste time on something time and money on something that's just has little chance of happening.
Is Kirk a pessimist?
Yeah, sometimes he is, isn't he?
You just don't want to say it. You're too nice. You don't want to say it.
Let's be realistic here. If you're wanting to make something like that happen, why don't you go to areas that have a history of making projects like this work, like over on the Kansas side,
Kirk,
Wyandotte County.
Did I mention that I live in Missouri? This is my state. I don't live in Kansas. I live in Missouri.
But
Missouri, not Missouri either.
Look at
I hate it when people call us Missouri. By the way, Missouri. I hate that. Shit.
Look at the history of these types of things ever getting off the ground, and the political fights that you got to go through. Why go through all that?
I like Bob's idea.
What was that, Todd?
Put it where Truman Sports Complex.
Yeah. Probably get a bigger crowd. Don't get me going on my Chiefs right now. All I know is that people think about Riverbend, think of the car. When I think of exposure, I want to be in a place where I get high traffic counts of people driving by every day looking at what's going on over there. and there no more people drive on any highway around here than 435. And by the Grandview Triangle, are you kidding me? People from the Northland go 435 to get to Overland Park. People that live in Grandview that are going north of the river have to drive by there. That is the crossroad capital of Missouri, or in Kansas City. That Grandview Triangle area is so much traffic. And people, if you were to build that track and people were watching it as it was building, and you had the right people out there saying, we're going to bring you some of the best racing that you've ever seen, and you do things for the community, you dress it up around there, you bring back, maybe some people start opening up some restaurants, and they opening up some adult entertainment area around the racetrack. It creates new revenue. It's a mini Village West right there.
I mean, it's all a great idea, but it just
I like it. See,
it has about as much chance of happening as the sun coming up in the west tomorrow morning.
It has
slim and none.
Kirk, it has a much better
mostly
chance.
none.
It has much better chance. All right. Just let the word be known. I'm looking for some people that are interested in doing it. How's that?
Well, I'll be an interested observer if you can organize it all and make that happen. I'll be standing on the sidelines applauding. Hey, boy, you got it done.
The only thing that I would be interested in doing outside of that would be opening I-70 again.
Which has a better chance of happening than the proposal that you just mentioned.
No, I don't think it does, to be honest with you. I don't know. It's just something. I've had this vision in my mind of having, a new Olympic stadium.
I hate to rain on your parade.
You're not raining on my parade because all you're doing is motivate me, bud. I'm just telling you, you're not bringing me down.
I'm looking at
You're not going to convince me that idea won't work.
I'm looking at the political realities of such a
No,
proposal.
you're just being the pessimist that you normally are. This is just your style. You're not one quick to be positive about things.
I am if it has a realistic chance of happening.
They always fall back on that, don't you? Pick 1940 says, in Kansas City, Missouri, Scott's idea is a pipe dream. You know what? You have to dream. See? And you have to take risk. Kirk, would you consider me a risk taker?
Yeah, but this is not about taking risks.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. Because you have to.
It's trying to make something happen you have no control over.
No. It is a risk. Because in order to get the process started to see if your philosophy is correct, you'd have to spend some money and go down and meet with some lawyers and go down and speak in front of the city of Kansas City. So, all right, let's go back to the phones. Frank, you're on with Scott and Kirk. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, pretty good. Just what I wanted to say was we're talking about a new track and everything. I recently went to Lucas Oil Speedway. My dad lives down in Hermitage.
Sure.
And it's basically 5 miles away there in the middle of nowhere. I was shocked how beautiful the facility was. I realized that the Lucas family has more money than God and can do that. But, I was thinking back of some comments you made probably months ago about trying to urge him to get some interest in purchasing I-70 Speedway.
Yes.
Was wondering if you had ever talked to him just about doing something here in Kansas City.
Yes, we have.
I also heard you talk about who was it, Carl Edwards, maybe. It was a subject of I-70 again. And when I went down there and saw that facility, I could not believe how beautiful the facility was, clean, and it didn't seem like square acreage-wise that they couldn't do something like that up here.
No doubt.
You're talking about property up near the airport. I've been listening to down by the river down there. Your thoughts on it? I'll get off. Thank you for a great show.
All right, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, Lucas Oil Speedway, beautiful facility, no doubt about it.
Well, I will tell you, and if he hadn't heard, and we'll let him get his computer turned back up so he can hear the response. We had a pretty lengthy conversation one day. Kirk and I had lunch with Forrest down at Lucas Oil Speedway after a press conference. It was pretty fun. We sat there probably for an hour talking to Forrest, and he admitted that he'd looked into I-70 Speedway. And his exact words, it was too big, too fast, too expensive to race at. People couldn't afford to race at that racetrack. This video is going to confirm that here in a minute, folks. I'm just telling you. I-70 broke a lot of wallets. And as selfish as I am, as much as I want to see that track open back up in its current configuration, big, fast, half-mile asphalt track, and I would love it. And if they opened it, I'd race there today. I'd have a car. I'd buy one today. I'd order a new one right now if they were going to race. And I know there's other people that would too. I know that there's several dirt racers that raced out there in the day that have told me they miss racing out at that racetrack. And they probably would race out there if they had a chance again. You don't realize what you have until it's gone sometimes. And anyway, but Forrest just said no. And I think really Forrest was looking at it. I think some people kind of steered him in that direction. Your mic's open in there, Todd. I think he was steered in that direction, and I don't know. Your mic's hot, Todd.
Thanks.
All right. Anyway, I think he was steered in that direction because people around this area want to see another drag strip open up, and I think that's. And we know that Forrest has talked about opening a drag strip, and I'm not sure he's got the property to be able to do it. I'm sure he can buy more property around his place and make it work down at Lucas Oil Speedway. But because of the closing of KCIR, I think that was one of the reasons maybe he was steered in that direction. But unfortunately, he's not interested in it. It's what he told us, pretty much, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's got enough on his plate right now that I just don't, at this point in time, of course, he could always change his mind down the road, but right now, with where everything is at in his businesses and everything, I just think he's putting any kind of idea like that on the back burner.
And I'm with you, Bob. I think if you're going to make I-70 work, I think put some dirt on it, make it work. As much as as long as it's open, that's all that matters to me. The historical racetrack sitting there rotting away like it is just driving me crazy.
The best place to have a multi-purpose motorsports facility of that nature. I mean, I-70 Speedway property. There's all kinds of problems with the county right now.
I don't know the particulars, the legalities out there.
I don't know about that.
We hear things.
But the logical place to put a new drag strip in this town and a new short track, if you could have a dirt
Where would
track,
that be?
a pavement track, and a drag strip all in one area, would be out by the Legends, not far from Kansas Speedway, out west in that area. That'd be a perfect place for that type of facility right close by the Legends and Kansas Speedway.
I'm all for Wyandotte County doing and thankful for the things they've done. But the fact is, we got to get something over here on our side of the state line. I'm a Missouri guy first. I love Kansas Speedway. I love all of our friends out there. I love Lakeside Speedway. When I'm home on Friday nights, that's where I want to go, Lakeside Speedway. But I'll tell you this. We need a track on the Missouri side. We need to recreate ourselves as Kansas City, Missouri is a place to where racers want to go race. And hopefully we can do that. All right. I've been talking about this for 30 minutes now. I didn't have any intention of doing that, talking about this for 30 minutes. Today, Kirk, is Valley Speedway's final points race of the season. Is that correct?
Yeah, the fast.
Or is it the final race?
Well, it's the final of the Fast Fall Series.
Say that 3 times real fast, can you?
The season finale of the Fast Fall Series at Valley Speedway tonight.
Right.
They called off last week's show because it was too cold, but it's going to be a lot warmer tonight, so they're planning on running tonight out at Valley Speedway.
I'm going to go out there tonight. You're going to go down to Lucas Oil Speedway.
I'm going to do their banquet at Bolivar tonight, the Lucas Oil Speedway season banquet tonight. But tonight, for the Fast Fall Series, pits open at 3, fan gates open at 4, hot laps at 5:30. It started a little bit earlier this time of the year, so make sure you get out there early tonight out at Valley Speedway. And they're going to run sprints, USRA modifieds, B-mods, street stocks.
All you got to do is say sprints, and I'm on my way.
And Midwest Mod Lights tonight.
All right, so that'll be a good show. And then, do we get press releases from Atchison County Raceway?
I don't, but they post information on our
But, I mean, do they
website.
send us press releases?
No, they do not.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Do they do press releases at all up there?
No.
Wasn't Larry Lowry Jr. doing them up there for a while?
I think he did them for a couple of nights, but that was about it. Don't think they did it.
If you
for
want to
any
be
lengthy
successful
period
in
of
this
time.
business, you got to have a publicist. You got to get those press releases out, and you got to do them in a timely fashion right after your race.
But they did post on our website that they have races on Saturday afternoons at what they call the Cage. Gates open 11:30, hot laps at 1:30, racing at 2 this afternoon. B-Mod, Street Stocks, Hobby Stocks, Sport Compacts, Winged Micros, Restrictors, and Junior Sprints, all at Atchison County Raceway this afternoon.
Yeah. Well, I obviously, what is the owner's name of that racetrack? I'm sorry, Chris.
Phil Birkinshaw.
Phil Birkinshaw is a rapid-fire poster on the chat room, and if he's going to take that much time to get on the not chat room, but on the form board, he should take a little bit of that time away from the form board and create a press release and send it in with a picture so it could be up on the homepage. Right?
That'd be fine. But I think he feels he gets word out just posting it on our form board.
That would be
He
fine.
thinks
Did you hear that, Todd?
That'd be fine.
That'd be fine.
He thinks that's all that needs to happen.
What? Well, I might go up there today and check it out. 2 o'clock. Race hot laps start at 1:30. I think races start at 2. I do like that though. I like the idea that he's going to try to run during the daytime and on the weekend. I don't think that's a bad idea what he's doing. I think Saturday afternoon will be better than Sunday afternoon. You got to deal with Cup and everything. People are tired. They've already went to a race for the weekend. A person can go up there to their racetrack, watch a night's worth or a daytime's worth of activity, still be able to go back home and do some things with their family. Or in fact, some people might be able to go from Atchison County Raceway over to Valley all in one night. Get 2 races in one day. I might do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think
I like the idea.
Saturday afternoon's better than Sunday afternoon. No question about that.
I think it's a pretty good move if you want to know the truth. I'm not opposed to what he's doing there. I think that's, my problem is that going up to just here again, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but go up and watch B-Mods as the headline class.
Now, they are going to run A-Mods for an event, what they call the Feastival. How about that? Thanksgiving weekend, November
Feastival.
23rd and 24th. A-Mods will run on the 24th, which is
2 days after Thanksgiving, right?
2 days after Thanksgiving, $750 to win at Atchison County.
And that's an
Raceway.
A-Mod race.
A-Mods.
How much to win?
$750
Well, that'd be good.
at the Cage.
I saw some video up there, the sprint cars. It didn't look too bad. Of course, I can't think of a bad sprint car race myself. But.
Yeah, all the reports I've heard about the sprint car races up there have been good. They had a war race up there, non-wing race up there a couple of months ago that I was told was a very good race.
The only thing that concerns me when I see that, and I can't, well, we didn't get a press release, so I can't tell you who flipped. Somebody flipped and landed the top of their cage on that guardrail.
Ouch. That's not good.
I understand it's the same kind of guardrail that Knoxville uses, but their guardrail is 20 foot tall, 23 foot tall. And I just cringe every time I see a car land on that steel like that. Now, luckily, the car that did flip, he had a wing, and the wing hit the rail first, but not a big fan of exposed walls like K-walls, like you see out on the highway, or guardrails as the main part of your racetrack wall. If you're going to have that, you got to have a fence up. I'm just saying. But again, I'm going to go back and say that from what I've seen of the racetrack, they've done a nice job putting the little place together. And I think that's fair, calling it a little place.
Yeah, it's not on a whole lot of ground there.
It's not a whole lot of ground, and you can't put a lot of cars out on the racetrack at once. But the fact is, they've done a nice job fixing that place and making it nice. Just not sure what it can grow into. We'll have to take a wait-and-see approach on that.
Now, one note he wanted to mention about the that 2-day Feastival over Thanksgiving weekend. He says the A-Mods for that show will be able to run their Lakeside chip if they choose. Of course, IMCA A-Mods have always done well at the other A-Mod races. Hope the weather stays nice.
What's he
and they
mean
can
by that?
compete in the fall. So,
What's
in
he
other
mean by
words,
that?
they're going to run Lakeside mods against IMCA mods in this event?
But did he say that they always run good?
I'll read this again. The A-mods for that show will be able to run their Lakeside chip if they choose. Of course, IMCA A-mods have always done well at the other A-mod races. Hope the weather stays nice and can compete this fall series. So
I don't know many IMCA mods that can compete with
No.
Lakeside mods.
I don't think
I'm
so.
just saying. I mean, you're basically talking to USMTS modified when you talk about a Lakeside mod.
Maybe on a small track like that.
Maybe, I guess.
'Cause
You know, and everything falls in the right way. An IMCA car starts up the front. The track's real slick, hard to pass. Okay, maybe. But if there's any kind of two grooves and side-by-side racing, I don't care what size of track. First of all, IMCA, can they even run a spoiler on their car anymore? I don't think they.
I don't think so.
And I think they.
Flat
they have
tap
to
a
run flat tap a cam, and I think they have to run that filler panel in the back.
I believe that's right. They're at a distinct disadvantage to the USRA A-mods or any other kind of A-mods.
All right, well, let's get Mark Billings wants us to talk about this, and we'll. Hey, listen, throw a topic up here, and we'll go right to it. What do you guys think about USAC not coming back to Valley Speedway in 2013?
Not surprised. Politics
No,
is usually the reason why.
no, that has nothing to do with money. Dennis lost money on both of those races. He stated on the forum board that
didn't bring in enough fans.
didn't bring enough money. He said brought plenty of cars, just not enough fans. You know, and I know that race cost about $30,000 to bring in, and that's before you.
That's a good enough reason not to have them back.
Well, and that doesn't include your support staff. I mean, class.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include your staff that works there.
And
for
when
you.
you're drawing just as much fans for your weekly sprint car shows as the special USAC events,
Right.
that doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, not when you're getting 20 war cars there. You know, it's like I'm going to pay $30,000 to bring in 12 guys, 10 guys, because that's all that really runs with
And the local guys are the ones bring the fans in. So when you bring in USAC, you're bringing in all these guys from Indiana, and their fans are not going to travel out here too far away. And so when you're trying to sell tickets for a sprint car race, it's the local drivers that are going to bring in the bulk of the fans.
One of their biggest car counts of the year is Valley Speedway because of what we have around here with the Windless Auto Racing Series. Ronnie says 30,000. That's more than a late model show. Well, Ronnie, it is USAC sprint car racing, bud. No disrespect. Yeah. This is not MLRA. You know.
And Ronnie, you might update us tonight. Springfield Raceway, Larry Phillips Memorial, still on. If you want to give us a call, Ronnie, tell us about it or update us. See if that event is still a go tonight. I assume it is. Weather looks good. And the rain-delayed Larry Phillips Memorial
They're on.
will be in action tonight at Springfield Raceway.
Maybe you could double dip, Kirk.
Go to the banquet, and then how far is it from Bolivar to Springfield?
What is it,
not that far.
probably
It's about a half hour?
about 32, 33 miles, probably, Ronnie, from
Might
Bolivar.
be able to do that.
Bolivar down to Springfield.
Get down there in time for the A-mains. Go to the banquet.
If I'm not mistaken, it's 30 miles from Bolivar to 44. And then it's only a couple miles. You only go down a couple exits to get on.
We'll kind of check that out. We'll see if we make that happen.
Oh, he said 30 minutes, but we start at 5 tonight.
Oh, so by the time I got done with the banquet.
What time's
it
the
might
banquet
be
start,
over.
Kurt?
I haven't looked at the time yet, but usually they start 5, 6 o'clock, don't they? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll check into it. We'll see if we can't make that happen.
Ronnie, what time do you think that will be over? That's the key. He starts at 5, so it should be over, what, about 8, 9 o'clock probably, I'm thinking?
That'd be tight.
Yeah.
Well, if I can just make it down there in time for the A-main, that'd be good. Maybe I can
You ought to try it.
give him a
You
call.
got Ronnie's
before I
number,
head-
don't you?
Yeah.
You just call Ronnie before you're ready to head that way. That's what you
head that
do.
way and see where we're at. Might be
Yeah.
able to make it.
Right.
We'll do our best, Ronnie.
That'd be good. That'd be a good race to go to.
That would.
What? There was another topic I was going to bring up. How long is that clip that we're going to show, Todd?
About a minute.
Is it about a minute?
Just about a little bit over a minute, about minute 5.
Let's what do RacinBoys think of war? Well, I think the concept is good. I think Tony Crank has done a reasonably good job of trying to promote that. I know he's done a lot of money out of pocket on that series. I guess my only problem is that Valley Speedway was the one that started that deal, so they're kind of piggybacking off of Valley Speedway's success a little bit. And I think they owe it to Valley Speedway to work with them a little bit more and not schedule against them.
I agree with all those things you just said. Couldn't said it better myself.
Yeah.
I think that Tony has a good idea. He's a racer. I think he understands from the racer's point of view what would make a good series viable for the racers. And if he gets the word out, but you got to work with what brung you.
I think there's a place for. I think there's a place for that class around here.
Yeah.
I will tell you that sometimes I'm a little concerned that maybe some of the drivers. There's some really good drivers that race there, but maybe some of the drivers are maybe a little in over their head with the non-wing car.
I think there's a lot of things that happened when this series was constructed that Tony and Dennis Schrout didn't sit down and really hash out all the details as well as they should have.
No, I think they did. I think that just one of them decided to do it their own. War. Let's face it. What was the first time? It was like the third or fourth race into their existence where they'd made an agreement with Valley, and I can't remember the dates or the tracks or anything, but it was Double X Speedway earlier in the year. I remember that now. They decided to go heads up against Valley Speedway, and I think 4 or 6 cars showed up down there at Double X. Just a few weeks ago, when we had the Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial, Valley ran and War ran down there at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Right.
It hurt the car count at both tracks.
There was no reason to run an event up against Friday night at Valley Speedway back early in the year. I think that created a lot of problems when that occurred, and didn't need to happen.
Racetrack Ryan said they keep things for all time trials, invert heats fully and points between time trials and heat finishes set the lineup. Yeah, we're familiar with that, Ronnie, but I'm not a qualifier. I don't think they don't need to be qualified.
No, it's not necessary to do that.
Necessary. Just line them up, do a pill draw, line them up, be the pill draw for your heat races, give you some passing points, and then
but
just line them up.
I agreed with Tony's idea to take that concept and make it more of a touring series and where you can travel around different racetracks. Okay. But Valley
can
Speedway
the guys afford to do it?
But Valley Speedway still had to be the anchor for all of that, and you needed to work with what they're doing at Valley Speedway to make that successful.
All right, 2895. Well, wish you put your name in there. I don't care if you make up a name, but said I saw War at Jesse Hockett 2-day show at Lucas Oil weeks ago. It was boring, no disrespect, but every time I see them, boring.
Coming from a winged sprint car guy, right?
No, he just said, no, where did I say he was a wing guy?
Oh, I don't know. Why did you say he was boring?
Well, why would you just assume that he's a wing guy? Why? Where'd that come from?
Because he didn't say that the wing.
He didn't say he was because it probably wasn't.
I don't know.
I mean, why would you do that? Just assume. I don't have a problem with War. I think they put on a good show on the small tracks, and I think that the most important thing about running non-wing cars around here is make sure you run on safe tracks. Because the open cockpit without the wing, there's so much, as we unfortunately saw with Jeff Osborne. It's so much easier to get injured in a non-wing car. I just want to make sure that everybody has the good safety equipment that they're supposed to have. Some of these guys are running some older cars. Make sure the integrity of these cars are safe, and damn sure make sure that if you're going to race at these tracks, make sure they're safe. And I'm not going to point out any issues at any racetracks, but there's tracks around here that really need to work on their fencing. Let's be fair.
The fencing is a big concern when you run non-wing sprint cars or any kind of sprint cars for that matter. The fencing at a track where you're running sprint cars has to be above and beyond what your normal fencing would be at a regular
We've lost too many
racetrack.
drivers this year. Tyler Wolf and I just want to give a quick shout out.
Spectators to be safe too.
Tyler Wolf lost his life out at Silver Dollar Speedway. That's in Chico last week. And it's very sad. Young 20-year-old driver. He'd won the Silver Dollar Speedway Championship last year. He was an up-and-coming driver, drove the number 19 car. We've had his chance, and I've communicated with him on Facebook. He'd sent me messages, so it really bothered me to hear that he'd passed away. And so, yeah, sprint car racing is the most dangerous form of dirt track racing there is in the country. Fair enough?
Yes.
Other than maybe AMA Grand National Motorcycle. That might on a mile track. Those guys are nuts. But the fact is, sprint car racing is known as the most dangerous form of dirt track racing. So just, these are things. And in fact, I'd like to see insurance companies kind of come a little harder down on racetracks that sometimes, damn good and well, that sometimes insurance companies don't even look at the racetrack, or better yet, look the other way because they want their money.
Well,
because and I know, Kirk,
right.
We've seen racetracks that we want. How do they allow that to happen?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the fencing that you see at racetracks are just fine for your modifieds, even late models.
But if you're going to run sprint cars.
And the weekly programs, but sprint cars is a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely.
Completely different.
All right, we're about in the last 9 minutes of the show, and I want to be able to talk about this a little bit. We've been teasing it. Tell your friends here. We're going to show you right now this version. It's a little teaser, about 1 minute. Now, this is I-70 Speedway from about 89 to 2003. The total length of this video when we put it up next week is going to be somewhere over 10 minutes long, 10, 12 minutes long. And it's 3 songs, and it goes on and on and on, and you will not believe the kind of action that you're going to see on this video, because you'll be watching it for 5 minutes thinking it's surely got to be over any time. There's no way a racetrack could have this many wrecks. And it just goes on and on and on and on. So Todd Surprise has been the producer of it. He's been putting it together, been working his little fingers to the bone on it. And we thought that we would show you a minute teaser of what you're going to see on the I-70 Speedway crash highlight video, whatever you want to call it. Destruction at I-70. We're going to come up with a name with it. Maybe you might want to send us a name or what you think would be good for this video. But here's just a little teaser of the destruction at I-70 over a period of about 15 years. Todd, roll it. Audio up. Audio. All right, there you have it. That's just a little teaser. Now, folks, that's 1 minute. We're going to show you 10 to 12 minutes of that nonstop rapid fire, one after another. And I'm telling you, those were the mild wrecks. Some of the wrecks that you see, Todd, and I have you chime in on this because you've been working on it really hard. That's the easy wrecks right there. Those were the small little wrecks. There's some wrecks in there you think, how in the hell did that guy survive that wreck? And we've got some huge fireball wrecks there at I-70, don't we?
Yeah, it was insane. You put that thing together. I had a few people that aren't race fans watching it, and they literally said, "Are you sure everybody was okay? Came out of this okay?" I mean, when you
nobody died.
Yeah,
that's all we can say. We can't say that nobody was injured in these wrecks,
because they were.
But they were. We've got John O'Neill's wreck where he was life flighted out of there. We've got the Tony Walls wreck where he caught on fire. There's several of those wrecks that you're going to see on this video, and it is. Needless to say, I can watch it even now and go, wow, man. And Todd, this is funny. You mentioned this a little bit ago before we went on the air. you watch it more than once, and you pick up on little things each time you watch it that you didn't see the time before, right?
Yeah, it's insane. There's so much going on this track when these wrecks are going on. I mean, the way the people respond in the crowd, they're so knowledgeable to what's going on. Every time there's a wreck, I mean, you can almost tell when the wreck's going to happen just because of the crowd jumping up off their feet. It's just insane.
And we blend in a little bit of the audio from the races too,
Yeah.
because there's a couple moments where there's sirens and people screaming, and you kind of blend that in there a little bit. I know
I've got some official, you can hear over the headphones too, people talking,
Right.
Track officials and stuff. It's an insane tape, and literally 30. You could make it 20 minutes if you just wanted to throw some music on it and put it right
well,
up.
I
But
think the full length of the DVD
Yeah.
when we got it was like 19 minutes,
yeah,
wasn't it?
20, almost 1857.
Yeah. So, but we had to trim some of it out because it's just, well,
There's a lot of
we might want to have a number 2 video,
yes,
right?
I'm gonna say there's some stuff to save.
Yeah, we've got some other stock video that we're going to use, so it's going to be good. And again, most of that video was shot by Jeff Eller and Larry Myrtle. They submitted that video to us quite a bit ago. Jeff Eller did, but I know that Larry Myrtle had a big part of that. They were out at I-70. Jeff Eller used to film a lot of Jeff Clem when he raced, and Ronnie Hartford, and Larry, he just filmed a lot of different things. And some of that videos from the infield, it's you're really, really, really going to enjoy that, and it's going to bring back a lot of memories, and you're going to think, I forgot that guy raced right there, or, oh, wow, I remember when that happened. It's going to open up a lot of emotions when you watch it.
I'm amazed that you can run a weekly series. These guys, I mean, the crashes that these guys take.
You never been there, had you,
No,
Todd?
I was a Lakeside kid growing up, so I
Yeah.
never made it really out. I mean, I've been there when I was younger, but never really paid attention.
Right.
But man, when you watch this video, and you can't believe some of the impacts these guys took out there. It's amazing.
And again, that's only just a sample of it. There's no way that you can really get the gist of what that video is going to be like.
You sit here and watch that video several years after racing has taken place at I-70 Speedway. It's been so long now since we've been out there and watched races on that high bank racetrack. My feeling is watching that, did that track really exist in our lifetime? And it's hard. It's almost surreal. You watch that, and you think, that really happened. We were there to see it.
That's why people went to that racetrack.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
They went to that racetrack for one reason and one reason only. They knew that there was a good chance they were going to see something they've never seen before when they go there.
You cannot appreciate just how unique I-70 Speedway was to everything else that we're exposed to in racing, that it has taken this amount of time away from the track. It's been gone now for this many years to really appreciate just how unique a place that really was.
Well, can't wait. We'll get it up this week. We'll work really hard at it this weekend. And Todd, you're pretty confident what you have it done this week.
I can get it taken care of, man. Shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't know. I enjoy it, and I miss that place tremendously. I know I talk about it quite a bit, but I'm just refuse to let it die. I just can't let it go away like it is. So. That Glenn called in a little bit earlier. He said something about Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards has expressed interest in that racetrack. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, though.
He wants to win a championship first before he's interested in buying racetracks.
That's
what
he's told
me
me
a couple of years ago.
He told me that a couple of years ago, but every time I see him, he questions me. And, again, we got down to prices this last weekend or 2 weekends ago out there. We talked about it again when I saw him. And I know that he's got a realtor that is a friend of his that helped sell Moberly and Montgomery County down there off of by Jeff City. And this guy came by here, give me his card, says that he's trying to find somebody to purchase I-70. You were here when he came by, Kirk. You saw him.
I did. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
See what happens. There's a lot of things would have to take place before that. I don't know what the McDonald's plans are for the track.
Well, I'm hearing that they've come down a little bit off of their big price, more down to where that price should have been probably in the beginning. And hopefully, let's just keep our fingers crossed that something happens. That's all we can do at this point. All right, Kirk, I'm going to go to Atchison County, I guess, and then go to Valley tonight. You're going down to who's the champions down at Lucas Oil Speedway?
Lucas Oil Speedway champions for 2012, ULMA late models, Jeremy Kelly, Jason Russell is the A-Mod champion, Mark Carter in factory stocks, and Chris Jackson winning the first B-Mod championship down at Lucas Oil Speedway. So we'll celebrate their championships, and it's going to be a full house. I was down there to that event last year. It's a very good banquet to attend, and looking forward to being down there tonight in Bolivar.
All right, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, each and every week, Track Talk on RacinBoys.com is brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet.
Whoop.
Wow, man,
Sorry
that was a little loud, bud.
I didn't have it down. Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
That there.
Go ahead. You can
My
start run,
fault.
You can run the theme. Just bring it down a little bit. Again, every week, Track Talk is brought to you both hours on Sports Radio 810 WHB and here on Racing Boys Radio. It's brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Check them out at kccars.com. Don't forget, they just opened up McCarthy Toyota in Sedalia. So if you're into Toyotas, if that's your thing, you're into foreign cars, you can go to McCarthy and get you a Toyota down in Sedalia. Congratulations to McCarthy for opening up that new dealership down there as well. And great deals. Again, no better deals on Chevrolets. $10,000 guarantees that. Check them out again at kccars.com. And don't forget to tell them that Racing Boys sent you. For Todd Surprise, Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.